Hello, and welcome to ESO Live. Welcome back after the holidays. This is our first show of 2015.
Very exciting.
Yes. So we'd like to go over the episode overview with you.
May as well. We already put this on the website yesterday, but just in case you missed it, we'll kind of touch on everything that we'll be talking about today. First off, we're going to start with the ESO Fan Creations Showcase.
Got some great art.
Indeed.
Next up, we'll have the Ask Us Anything segment. This one is extra long this time. You guys had a lot of really great questions, so we'll answer many of those.
After that, we're going to go over some of the upcoming fan-organized events.
And after that, we have a couple new pieces. Well, actually, they're not new, but they're pretty cool pieces of ESO
Newish
merchandise to show you.
Kind of new. After that, we're going to be speaking with our senior programmer, Ian Campbell, for our Life at Sauce segment.
Then we will dive into the animation revamp discussion with lead animator Ed Lynch.
We're not going to do any giveaways this time.
No?
What?
No, we will.
We will.
We'll do some giveaways, as always. So next up, let's get into some fan art.
Yes.
So artists have been very busy over winter break.
Lots
it seems
of time
like
over the holidays to do art.
Oh yeah. So we have some of our favorites to go through with you right now. This is Cousins by Slayer Serena. Very popular. These two characters are actually Dunmary cousins. They travel to Stone Falls to find their missing cousin. I am not even going to attempt to try and pronounce some of these names.
Vitalos?
There's
maybe?
a lot of consonants. Apparently, they tend to bicker.
Of course.
Well, what cousins,
They're cousins.
don't? Exactly. A lot of finger pointing here.
He's like, me? So this is Siluan, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Apologies if I'm not. This artwork is based off the artist's player character. It looks like she's a dark elf. And she was attempting to evoke the feeling of kind of mischief, sneaky yet sweet smile. I think she pulled it off.
Yeah. Here we have winter wallpaper from Darkdale Guild. This is from Thavy, found on the ESO forums. A lot of us are actually using this as our wallpaper currently in the studio.
Have it on mine.
Yep.
I love it. So this is Less Grump, More Fun by Glue Game Lady on DeviantArt. Looks like a very friendly Khajiit and Argonian. So this is characters Pikusha and Insendra. I hope I pronounced those right.
That was good.
Galoo Game Lady did all the line work of the characters, and it says Pikusha is Pikuna's player character, and did the coloring of the piece, and Insendra is the player character of Incomanic.
Nice work.
Lots of names. We struggle every time to pronounce your guys' names. Keep them coming.
Less grump, more fun. Love it. This is, well, you see what it is on the screen. I don't think I'm even going to try.
Argus Eleutherios, I think maybe.
Yeah. What she said. This is actually drawn of Gadrian's own player character. It's an Imperial Dragon Knight.
Oh, cool. I was going to say maybe Breton, but he's Imperial.
It kind of reminds me of when you're walking away from an explosion in slow motion. That's what he's doing.
This character should be on Archer.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. All right, this is Piridota by Prath Darkworm on DeviantArt. A very heroic looking Khajiit.
Extremely.
So
Captain
this artwork
Khajiit
was created for the player Carbine Fox, her character Piridota. The character's dressed in her special Halloween costume, which won the Sugar Claw Clan's costume contest.
Cool.
Awesome. I wonder what she won.
Now, this is a comic from Isriana. Am I summoner enough yet? You can actually visit Isriana's DeviantArt page if you want to see the text. I can't read it from here.
A little small.
So this is basically what happened when a division champion denies Isriana's player character of entering one of the arenas. So, yeah, go check it out.
This is Altmer Xavier by Kirashik, yeah, on DeviantArt. Looks like maybe a vampire Altmer, I think.
It said, I think it's a necromancer.
Is it a necromancer?
Yes.
Very cool.
Oh my.
Well, they're having fun.
Art on by Teller123 on DeviantArt. This is the artist actually recreated his character enjoying the beaches of Ardon after leaving Cold Harbor, but I think they're actually just on spring break.
I think so too. It looks like it, huh?
That's funny. The other guy in this is actually the artist's friend who he adventures with in game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. It's funny.
Here's another one by Prath Darkworm. This is Kath. This is Kath McCarr, and this character is looking for some smoke bombs in his utility belt of objects. I feel like we could play I Spy for a while with this one. I see a rake.
I see an Elder Scroll in there.
A wheel of cheese.
A beach ball for, the spring break party we just saw.
Char likes to ward off vampires.
Yeah.
It's got a little bit of everything. That's awesome.
All right, so that wraps up our artist showcase. Thank you all so much for sending that stuff in. Please send us more. We love seeing them. And next up, I think we're going to do a giveaway, our first one of the show.
Sure, we should.
All right, so we've got some lithographs, and we're going to pull them out here.
We should give everyone the word first so they can get started.
Oh, I guess.
What is... Shoot, I think it was Trio.
Trio.
There's 3 alliance leaders. You have a choice.
You want to hold one?
Yes. You have a choice of one of these, so you can pick your favorite alliance leader. So, here we go.
This is High King Emmerich of Daggerfall Covenant.
And you can see on the screen, too.
Yep.
All 3 of them.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, fumbling. So, again, the word is trio, like 3.
So there's
Ebonheart.
King Yarn.
Yep, there it is.
And we also have one of Queen Aren.
I love watching chat when this happens. People just go crazy. There she is.
So these are actually also not sold in the store anymore. So very limited.
Not sold in stores.
And you can pick whichever one you want if you win.
Ooh, I look like a creeper doing that.
Soon.
All right, we'll give everyone maybe 5 more seconds. I don't know what to do with this. Here you go. And the other. 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's pick a winner.
Who is it? Drum roll.
It's, I can never pronounce his name, but I see him on the forums all the time.
Let's see.
Nazir?
Oh, Nazir.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
did we pronounce that right?
Close enough. Well, good job, Nazir. And thanks for helping us on the forums. We definitely see you around a lot.
Yeah. So next up, we're going to go through our Ask Us Anything segment, which, as we said, is quite long. So let's go ahead and dig in, get comfy. We've got over 20 questions. All right, so we pulled all of these from the official Elder Scrolls Online forums. Some of them we have names for, some of them we don't. So if you see your question or hear it and we don't have a name for you, apologies. So the first one is, what positive changes do sorcerers have to look forward to in Update 6? All I see is another nerf bat, and the surge changes seem to be the icing on the cake.
Nerf bat?
Yeah. So the primary goal of all these changes coming in Update 6 is to promote build diversity through buffing instead of nerfing. Believe it or not, that is our core design philosophy, is to try to buff rather than nerf. I know, hard to believe. Some notable sorcerer improvements are a reduced cast time on crystal shards, increased damage on Daedric Curse, and pets now inherit their owner's critical strike rating. We also would really like Surge to continue to be a key weapon in the Sorcerer's arsenal, and we'll be monitoring PTS feedback on this ability. So your feedback on the PTS will be really important to determine what we do next with Surge. So please hop on once PTS goes live and let us know.
Second question. So I get thrown off when questions begin with so. Yep. So heavy armor will mitigate all damage types other than siege, all capital letters, better with update 6? I feel like I'm Ron Burgundy reading this. I'm Ron Burgundy? Pretty sure metal plate protects a person from rocks or shells better than cloth. So in update 6, siege damage is not mitigated by armor. We do want siege damage to be impactful against all players without actually one-shotting those who wear light armor.
Yep, it's definitely a balance. All right, next question. In update 6, you said we'll be able to block Magicka-based AoEs. Does this also affect the new Magicka bomb skill? This is a pretty short answer, yes. It does.
With the changes coming in update 6, will fear still go through block? Yes. But we can elaborate. Fear will still go through block in update 6. We actually kind of like that fear has a unique role in the battlefield, but we are going to continue to monitor and see sort of how the interaction affects the balance.
And will armor scale linearly or logarithmically? The reason I ask is because linear armor scaling results in exponential damage reduction growth as armor is added. All right, so this was a very complicated question, but we do have an answer. Armor in ESO actually scales logarithmically, and the damage reduction caps at 50% for physical and spell resistance. So
there you have it.
Yep.
We've heard that Wall of Elements will not be blockable after update 6. Is this true? Similarly, will caltrops remain blockable, or will the stamina draining issue be fixed? So in update 6, Wall of Elements and caltrops will be blockable. It kind of doesn't make a lot of sense to be blocking an effect that is on the ground, so we might actually be updating these based on feedback that we see once this is on the PTS.
Are you guys hearing the repeating theme?
Get on PTS. Yeah, you should get on PTS. When it's available.
When it's available.
Soon.
Are you guys planning on looking at racial passives again after update 6? Because some of the racial passives are going to be vastly better after that patch. That's a great question, and the answer is absolutely. We may even have time to get some changes made on PTS if you have specific feedback for us on the racial passives.
All right. Man, they were saying in chat they're going to start a drinking game every time I say so there.
Well, it'll be a really fun show by the end.
All right, the damage over time for the bow ability Venom Arrow will pretty much apply even if the target is blocking, but the damage over time from the dual wield ability Blood Craze will never apply if the target is blocking. I think it's like the only damage over time that doesn't apply when you block. Is this intended? Is this intended? Yes. It is intended behavior, and it now applies to Venom Arrow's damage over time as well.
On update 6.
In update 6.
Yep.
Not now.
So since skills that use stamina after the patch, after update 6, will be based off weapon damage, stamina, weapon crit, does this mean that Fighters Guild abilities will now be good for stamina users? Or is it just class abilities that are being changed? Also, is there any way we can get the 0.5 second cast time removed from Dawnbreaker? It's a pretty good ultimate, but the fact that it can be interrupted fairly easily makes it basically used for the passive and nothing else. Other than the Templar's Channeled Heal ultimate, I don't think there is another ultimate in the game with a cast time. That was all the question.
That was a huge question.
So, answer. Multiple, actually, it's a multi-faceted answer. We have changed all skills in the game to conform to these standards. So yes, Fighters Guild abilities will be more useful for stamina-based characters once Update 6 is live. We'll also look into the cast time for Dawnbreaker. It's not being changed right now, but one change that is coming in Update 6 for Dawnbreaker is it's received a substantial damage over time component. So we'd like to see how that works out, and then we'll also look at the cast time if it needs a little bit more buffing.
Neat. Quick Siphon says it will heal any player that is attacking the target of the siphon, but in reality, no healing happens unless the attacker also damages the target of the siphon, meaning shielded target equals no healing. Intended? Yes. And this is actually one of the unique things that makes the damage shields different than a standard heal. Short and sweet.
Yep. So next up, will we be able to bash or interrupt heavy attacks in Update 6? Not currently. However, we have been planning an update where only the ranged heavy attacks can be interrupted. So that would be bow, restoration staff, and destruction staff. So again, that's not in Update 6, but it is something we are currently planning.
If all Magicka-based AoEs will be blockable, will the Nightblade's aspect of terror be too? Because if so, block casting is going to be getting better and better in Update 6. Also, will this change affect skills like Talons, Dark Knight Standard, the Siphon Ultimate, Sap Essence, etc.? So in Update 6, Aspect of Terror will not be blockable, but we do have some examples of how this change is going to impact some of the other abilities that you mentioned, whoever you are. Oops. So for Dark Talons, damage is blockable, but the Immobilize is not. Dragon Knight Standard is blockable. Soul Shred is blockable. Sap Essence is blockable. Drain Power is blockable, and the caster still gains the majority brutality buff as long as the ability deals damage. We also just want to note that we are looking into making all of the ground-based AoEs not blockable.
All right.
They should have had a drinking game for the word blockable.
Yeah.
I think.
So what is the status with Shadow Cloak and its morphs? Can we expect any fixes in Update 6? How about the whole stealth gameplay? Any new mechanics, skills for that in Update 6 that players who enjoy rogue-type characters might like?
Are there?
We are continuing to fix bugs with Shadow Cloak. With Update 6, we've introduced new, quieter sound effects for sheathing and unsheathing weapons, particularly while stealthed. We're also looking at a new skill line associated with the justice system that reduces the cost of sneaking. This will be after Update 6 is live, when we introduce the next part of the justice system. You can also now stealth while in an NPC's notice area as long as you're not within their detection area. And the Stealth Hidden Eye also provides a more accurate indication of when you can and cannot be detected.
So here's our first question with a name. It's Jehoshaphat. How will major and minor buffs be determined in Update 6? Will the order of buffs... Oh, I see. I can read. Will the order the buffs are applied determine which of the major and minor buff, or is it something you set out of combat? So we did go through every ability in the game that provided a buff and replaced it with either a major or a minor buff. The buff, and whether it's major or minor, is actually determined by the ability. The buff also corresponds with the ability's desired gameplay. For example, the Sorcerer's ability, Lightning Form, gives you a major armor buff, while Bound Armor gives a minor armor buff. The armor bonus from these abilities scales based on your character's level, so the major buff might grant 5,120 armor, very precise, while the minor buff gives 960.
Very specific.
That was really specific. You might need to go back and rewatch that a couple times.
Oh, actually, we are going to be posting these questions and answers on the official forums afterward, so you can read. Yeah.
Okay.
So you can read over them if you miss anything. So next question, how do you keep a level playing field in the game when veteran players can pour champion points into newly created alts while brand new players to the game cannot? And this one is by Carolosi? I'm sorry. Champion bonuses scale based on your character's level, so the passives will be much more effective at VR 14 than at level 5. Additionally, most champion bonuses increase your stats by a percentage. So increasing armor by 25% when you only have 100 armor is a much smaller value than when you have 20,000 armor. So with champion points, your alts will feel more powerful, and we think it's going to be a lot of fun for a high-level player high-level characters, players, to create new characters and go in and just crush monsters.
Here's a question from Hero of None, B14_ESO. Hero of None is actually compiling a really awesome list on the forums right now with all the streamers and when they're going to be streaming once Update 6 hits BTS. And
It's going to be awesome.
it's immensely helpful. So, public thank you.
We love our live streamers.
So the question is, separate keybinds for weapon 1 and 2 were reported as being worked on. Any status update? Yes. The change is coming in Update 6. In addition to the weapon toggle keybind, you'll also be able to set keybinds for weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. So there's actually 3 total keybinds. The one used for weapon set 1 and 2 are not assigned to any key by default. It's just kind of there for anyone who wants to use it. We also have tweaked weapon toggling, so it's less likely to double swap if you press the keybinds in quick succession, which was pretty annoying. We also made weapon swapping feel more responsive. It can now be activated to interrupt a cast or while you're on cooldown. So basically, weapon swapping should function a lot better in Update 6.
Yay! All right, so will Pet Critical Strike coming in Update 6 scale off my spell crit or my weapon crit? This one is by Norjitsu. All pet summons are magic-based abilities, so both their damage and critical strike rating are based off your sorcerer's spell stats.
Next question is from Lone Pirate on the forums. He was asking, when will the vendors in Cyrodiil sell blue VR14 mystery boxes? It's actually not going to be in Update 6, but we do have a comprehensive loot update planned for all PvP players in the future.
Yep, so they are working on it. This one is by Muizer. Again, if I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. When the new class ability morphs are introduced, will our morphed ability levels be preserved and or carried over, or will we have to re-level our morphed abilities? That would be mean, right?
A little bit.
No, we're not going to make you re-level your morphs. When Update 6 goes live, all the experience you've previously accrued, including progress and ability morphs, will be preserved, and we will be providing a free respec.
Good times. Here's a question from Stone's Throw. Can you confirm once and for all, for the record, whether or not Nirncrux can be found in Upper Craglorn while harvesting any node, like herbs and runes, and not just ore, cloth, and wood, ... no matter how slim the chance may be. Oh my gosh, what did I just press? We can't confirm it because where's the answer? Here it is. So Nirncrux is not found from alchemy and enchanting nodes in Craglorn since those trade skills don't use it. If you are hunting for Nirncrux, then the smithing, the woodworking, and the clothier survey reports actually have a higher drop rate than normal nodes. So we recommend doing those. So there's your answer. Confirmed once and for all
On the record. So this one's by Samadhi on the forums. When will we finally get an option to disable the obnoxious notifications when guild members complete trials? We get this question a lot, probably every day. We completely understand how annoying this is, and we are working on adding the option to turn them off. That will be introduced in a future patcher update. It's not Update 6, but we can confirm we've heard you, we are working on it.
For the revamp and consolidation of the buffs and debuffs, will we get a list of the changed effects in advance, and will we get a free respec to change our builds? Well, spoiler, you will get a free respec to change your builds, and we do also have a full list of the effects in the Update 6 patch notes.
Which are...
They're just never ending.
over 60 pages now?
I think I actually just hit 64 today. Yes.
Wow.
I know a lot of folks on the forums keep asking, they're like, well, why don't you just post what you have now? They're not done, so we can't post something that isn't done yet.
We are still adding to them. Yep.
Indeed.
All right, so next, this one is by Mercutio Elisar. This is a very elegant name. Will Naryu Virian be involved in the introduction of the Morak Tong? I'd like to see her again. We would love to see Nario again too. We're actually talking about how to best use all the various recurring characters in the future. Nario is one of them. There are actually some ideas floating around about how to best use her, but we don't have anything nailed down quite yet, so you'll have to stay tuned.
Last question is kind of a fun one. What's the highest amount of gold a player can carry? The absolute maximum is actually a little over 2 billion gold.
2 billion.
Billion. Billion. I like the little joke here. Better hope that's not all in copper.
Oh my gosh. All right, so that wraps up our questions.
Yep. As always, if you have any questions that we didn't answer, feel free to hop on the forums. We have an official thread. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It just says, ask us anything for ESO Live or something like that.
And sometimes we'll pull questions. Sometimes we'll pull questions from other threads too. I know some of these were from a PvP discussion thread.
Yeah, I know. I was seeing some discussion about, oh, do you guys ever even check this thread anymore? The one that's sticky, and we do. We promise. So we
have a running Word doc.
Oh yeah, it's also long. So coming up next, we are going to get into some of the fan-created events. Well, as always, we have lots of events that fans in the community have organized. So we have some new ones in this list, and then also some repeats. So
very active.
Yeah.
Let's take a look.
First up is Ember Heart Tavern Nights. This is one that's been going on for quite a while. It happens on Saturdays. The European Mega Server in Gearman's Hall. This is where you can go for delicious food and spirits. Mead. All the good things.
I think this might be a new one. It's the Raven's Eye Open Store Hours. This is an occult magic shop that a group is running on the North American Mega Server. It's open, looks like, I don't know if it's every Saturday night or just this Saturday, coming January 17th. You can stop by for enchanted crystals, tomes, potions, all your magical needs.
So exciting.
Sounds cool. It's in Evermore in Bangkarai. This is for Daggerfall Covenant members.
Next is the Wayrest Mages Guild Lecture Nights. If you would like to get lectured, you can head to the Wayrest Mages Guild every Wednesday at 7 p.m. GMT. This is on the European Mega Server.
Are my parents going to be there?
I love being lectured.
This is the Woodhearth Tavern next. This will be on Wednesday, January 21st and January 28th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time on the North American Mega Server. This is for Altmeri Dominion members. This sounds like another lively tavern. Open to any Khajiit, Altmer, or even if you're not and you're a member of Altmeri Dominion. Tavern keeps a good amount of food and drink. Even those who don't follow the Green Pact might be welcome.
Here we have the Council of Daggers meeting. They get together every Thursday to discuss community-wide events and activities. So if you're a part of the Daggerfall Covenant, you should go. This is on the North American Mega Server in the castle in Evermore. It's on the top floor. You should go.
Next, we have the Woodhearth Open Market. So you can go and get all kinds of goods from armor, magical spells, clothes, potions, more, maybe even some little pastries.
Delicious pastries.
This is on Thursday, January 22nd and January 29th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the North American Mega Server. This is also an Altmeri Dominion activity.
Here's another new one, the Wayrest Fighters Guild Adventure Training Night. So this is on the European Mega Server over at the Wayrest Fighters Guild Hall. It's for Daggerfall Covenant members. It's, I guess, every Thursday, right? At 8 p.m. GMT. All are welcome, whether you are melee or magical.
That one sounds fun. Train up, get better at fighting Daedra.
I'm down.
All right, so we've got the Coremount Story Circle returning on Wednesday, January 28th at 10 p.m. This is hosted by the Bramble Scar Clan, and it looks like this happens every other Wednesday for the people of Coremount. They do it to foster relationships with the locals, outsiders, and the clan. So anybody who would like to partake in storytelling is welcome to join. North American Mega Server. This is also Altmary Dominion. All right, so that wraps up. Yep, that wraps up the events that we are highlighting this time. There may be more. Keep an eye on our social media channels. We usually promote these right before they happen, so you have a little reminder to show up if you'd like to. So next up, we're going to look at the couple pieces of ESO merchandise that we have to show off today. So So first up, we have the ESO. I'm actually going to pull mine out here. I've got one.
It's a really cool journal.
We've got the ESO hardcover ruled journal. This is what it looks like in person. We actually just got these. They're really, really nice. They've got a little...
Very sturdy.
And these are available from a number of different retailers. There's the back too. And these are... on Amazon. I think they've got them at Barnes & Noble, too. Typically places that would sell books. So I use this for my notes at work. Top secret stuff.
Look at all those notes.
Oh, there's some notes. I'm not going to... Nope.
We also have some ESO Alliance hoodies that are available on the Bethesda store. These are really cool. There is one for each alliance.
They're super soft and warm.
They're extremely soft. We actually have some here that we can show you. But we should probably give one away too.
Yes.
Why not? So while we're talking about hoodies, you can type in cozy into chat and you'll get your choice of one of these Alliance hoodies. Cozy like, cozy. C-O-Z-Y. Anyway.
It's a good time of year for these.
Oh my goodness. Here we go. They're all here.
All right, so let's take a look here. So this is I believe this is the Altmer one.
Cozy is spelled with a Z, you guys. A Z. And a Y. There we go.
So this is the Altmer one. It's got a really cool kind of pointed hood.
It's also got, on the little, I don't know what you call these, hood strings or something, little green embroidery.
Oh yeah, that's neat.
It's very soft.
The back of it.
So here, which one is this?
Yeah, these are really heavy duty.
They are. They're extremely warm. We may or may not have been trying them on before the show. So is this which one is this?
That's the Daggerfall.
This is the Daggerfall one. This one is extremely soft.
Yes,
I'm not sure what makes it so soft, but you just want to, I don't know, rub it. I don't know.
This also has a little, like, I'm going to hide my face thing.
Oh yeah.
So you can be like the Breton in the cinematic trailer.
Whoops. Sorry,
Oh, static. Oh boy. It's that time of year.
All right, so last up we have the Ebonheart hoodie. Now this one's cool. They each have like their own little thing. By the way, you're typing cozy into chat with a Z. So Ebonheart, it has a little fuzzy because, you know, they're in the snow and it's cold.
It's got the runes.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. There you have it.
Okay, so if you win, you will get to take your pick.
I think we only have sizes small, medium, or not small, I'm sorry, medium, large, and extra large. So hopefully that meets your needs. All right, so let's see who our winner is. I think it's this one. Nathan 43082.
Congrats!
Congrats, Nathan. So not to be confused, it's not Nathan 43081. It's 82. So congratulations, Nathan. Jason will be in touch with you on Twitch chat.
And we hope you enjoy your new hoodie.
Yeah, it's super warm. It's everyone's new favorites.
Yep.
Let's see. So coming up next, we're going to talk with one of our senior programmers, Ian Campbell. The programmers are super hard at work.
Yes.
Right now.
They're kind of our unsung heroes.
Yep. We are very lucky to have Ian with us. So, yeah, let's dive in. Hi, Ian.
Hi, welcome.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me to the community dungeon.
Isn't it beautiful?
Added some new weapons.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very impressive.
Small torture devices.
Yeah, you've removed most of the sort of bones and skeletons since last I came down here. But
Oh, they're
yeah.
still they're in
Oh,
They're
okay.
they're hidden behind your chair. We don't talk about
Stay
those.
away from them.
So Ian, again, is one of our programmers here at SOS. As always, if you have any questions for Ian about his job or himself or anything really, feel free to put it in Twitch chat, and we'll be taking a couple questions at the end of the segment.
I don't promise to be able to answer it, but well, we'll see.
We'll ask it and
Yeah.
see what happens. So for starters, why don't you tell everyone what you do on the ESO team?
Most of the time I look after the back end of the operation, so a lot of the things that go on with the database, looking after creating your characters, loading your characters, some of the inventory stuff. And as you can imagine, it's quite a large setup with the mega servers, so there's always a lot going on. We also have to look after the live operation, as well as working on new things like all the massive changes we've made for Update 6, and also future projects, which we can't talk about right now.
So you're the one who makes sure my character is there when I log out and log back in.
No, I try to. Yes, we do that, and there's a lot of stuff that players may not notice. We try to be quite subtle in, for instance, when we send you to a zone, we'll actually take a peek and see if, are there any guildmates there? Or if there are 2 copies of the zone, which one do we send you to? Yeah,
Oh,
there's a little bit
interesting.
more that goes on behind the
it is,
scenes.
yeah.
So.
Awesome. All right. So, how did you become a programmer?
Oh, I'm probably not your typical candidate. I was one of those annoying people who started into the games industry when I was very young, at about 13, 14, did my first game on the ZX Spectrum and the VIC-20s and all that stuff. And by the time I was about 18, I was completely tired of games and some of the chaos that was going on back then. So I thought, I'm never going to touch another game in my life.
Oh.
Jumped into the Air Force, and within 6 months I was still madly playing games and doing little bits of contract work. And I didn't actually come back into the games industry until about 10 years ago. I was working in the city of London, and someone introduced me to an MMO. And I was,
And it was all downhill from there.
completely hooked.
Which one?
EverQuest.
Oh yeah.
Yes, at the time I think I hopped into the game. Someone said, you might like to try this out. Was madly bashing Bixies, if I remember, and dying. And this high-level character appeared and wanted some help with a quest. And I think I spent the next 4 hours being rushed around the world.
Oh,
Saw
wow.
everything, saw all sorts of little stunts like, yes, if you change into a more revealing outfit, you tend to get the male folk more interested in giving you free teleports places, and all these little tricks and everything else. And by the end of the night, I was completely sold. And around the same time, I got the opportunity to come back to the States to do some stuff, and came back into the games industry, originally working on first-person shooters over here, and then for the last 3-4 years on Elder Scrolls itself. So
Nice. So what's your favorite part of the job here?
wow, one of the great things
I mean,
working
everything, obviously.
everything. Of course, the live stream and ESO Live is the best bit, without a shadow of a doubt.
Aw.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
The check. No. It's a very varied job. I mean, one of the great things about an MMO is if you're working on a lot of other games, they're very constricted. You know, you're working on a very particular thing, and maybe only for a year or so. An MMO is huge. It encompasses just about every piece from any other style of game, one way or another within it. So it's hugely varied. And we got quite a small engineering team, so we get a fair amount of exposure to everything. So one day I could be fixing a bug on the server, next day I could be trying to help UI guys out, fixing something on the client, helping customer service. So there's quite a broad variety of things. And in actual fact, at the moment we're looking for more engineers. So if you've got experience with games, and especially if you've got experience with C++, hop over to jobs at ZeniMax.com and have a look at the information
and
there.
Join you.
Well, maybe not me, No, but seriously, it's a very varied job and a lot more interesting than a lot of people might
I do
expect.
hear a lot of people saying that they like how much variety and chance for creativity that.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot
all
more. There's a lot more
offers,
chance to sort of make your own mark on things, especially because with many games, when you make them, send them out the door, that's it. It's done. It might be some DLC, but that's it. An MMO is continually evolving, continually changing. So just because your idea wasn't judged worthy for launch, that doesn't mean to say it's not going to slide into the game 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line. So it's fun.
Awesome. So what would you say is one of the most challenging things you've worked on for ESO?
It's probably what we internally used to call shardless, and you guys know as the mega server.
Yep.
When I first started, we were very much more similar to other MMOs in the way we did things. And one of the things a lot of MMO players may not realize is a typical server when you're on it only has maybe a couple of thousand, maybe 10,000 people on it. Our aim with the mega servers was to remove all of the battles people have about trying to select their server and the amount of angst and chaos that causes in guilds, or oh no, I'm going to have to pay some amount of money to transfer my character in order to be able to play with my friends. And also it allowed us to scale things much more. So when we launched the game, we wouldn't necessarily have to spin up hundreds of servers and then try and find ways of hiding the fact that we were merging them down the line.
Right.
And that went really, really well. Lots of the stuff was, quite easy to get our heads around. There's some elements like, ultimately, whilst we can add more boxes to add more zones, you all end up in the same sort of database behind the scenes. So there was a lot of hard work and a lot of hard work by the server team. And it's a relatively small team on the server side. And
It was a huge technical undertaking.
Yes. Yes. A lot of people thought we were insane trying to do it at the time. But I think it's shown, from other MMOs more recently that have started to move over to that model.
Yeah.
And it solves a lot of problems and makes life easier in many ways.
So can you talk a little bit about what is sort of the day in the life of a video game programmer?
Sure.
I know you mentioned earlier you kind of wear many different programmer hats.
Yes. First thing, most important thing is get up and brush your teeth. You didn't want this detail, did you? No. Okay.
Coffee or tea?
Well, that's the first thing I have to do is find out what the community team want and bring them their drinks. No, typically the first thing we do is, and this is pretty standard across the whole company, is we tend to have, we work in relatively small teams, scrums, that get together in the morning, work out what issues came up overnight, what we need to try and attack today. We go through a lot of the bugs. Whilst I know many of the players may not believe it, we do actually look through all the bugs. And we go through this process of triaging them so we find out which ones need immediate fixing. And then it's really flowing through either those bugs or onto whatever project we're working on. And one of the things that's hard for some people when they come into the industry is you may not see the results of your work for months or in some cases years. We've had people working on the tech for things like the Justice and Champion system for Update 6 for over a year. So you have to be willing to wait to see the results of your work. And we also provide a lot of help for the live team. So at any point in the day, you can be dragged off because an issue has happened on live, either because of a bug, a problem with a machine, or just trying to find information for CS to try and help them solve a problem that a player's having. So it's no 2 days are the same.
Yeah. I can
Which
say
is-
that's
Oh, yeah.
definitely
Useful.
for us too.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So what would you tell someone, and maybe even some of the people listening today, who were interested in getting into programming for video games? How would they go about getting into that?
It's the question we get asked the most. Any convention or that we go to, it's the one thing that everyone is interested to know. It's a little bit easier over the past few years than than it has been for a while. For a while, you could only really get into the industry if you were going through college, getting experience. That way, you'd apply to a company and often end up having to take a role in something else, either in QA or tools or something else, and then work up in the company. But increasingly, whilst that's still a viable option, when people hear about QA, for example, they think it's just sitting there playing the game and testing. There's a lot of use of automated tools these days. So a lot of our QA engineers, if they have any programming expertise, will end up helping write those tools and then potentially end up coming into the rest of the programming team. But the other big thing that's happened over the last few years that's great for getting into it is the indie scene. There's, in many ways, no better way of proving that you can do a certain thing than actually demonstrating it. And even if you haven't worked at another games company, whilst that's a way that we typically look for a lot of people, if you can actually show us something you've done, it's a really good way of demonstrating things.
It from start to finish.
Right, that's it. And you don't necessarily need to have been to college. It is a way of just proving that you can do the job.
Yeah.
But we have a wide variety of people. It's not just we have engineers that work on the game. We have engineers that work in QA. We have engineers that work on the UI side of things, as well as the huge web and platform and things that support community and accounts and customer service. So there's a broad range of things, and anyone that's interested should just hop over the website, take a look at the careers page.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
So are you able to talk at all about what you're currently working on?
Most of what I'm working on right now, let's just say it's going to be an interesting year for ZeniMax. Most of what I'm working on right now, I can't reveal anything about, but we do still have an awful lot of support for the live team. We've got bugs coming up for update 6. Most of those, I think, now we've kind of got to bed. We're only going to give you another 40 pages of notes for your patch. Don't worry.
Excellent.
We didn't want to sleep.
Cool.
But no, most of it at the moment is cleaning up the stuff for update 6, as well as future projects. We've got a number of things that we're working on that hopefully over the next few months, if you keep watching ESO Live, they'll be able to tell you a bit more about.
So you've mentioned engineering and programming a few times. Can you kind of, for those of us who aren't in the know, explain the difference between the two?
Back in time, we used to call ourselves programmers.
Okay.
Increasingly, everyone more commonly adopts the title of software engineer.
Okay.
So you'll hear the two used quite interchangeably. Engineer covers a bit more, I guess. There's people that work a bit more on the hardware side of things get covered in that sort of title as well. But yeah, mostly, typically here, we'll call the programmers engineers. Me personally, I call myself a code monkey, but that's just
we have a couple questions from Twitch chat.
Okay.
Sorry, they're gentle.
Yes, it is a wig.
So this is sort of a two-part question. What's been your busiest day at ZeniMax since launch, and what's been the hardest bug that you've been able to squash?
Wow.
It's loaded. I mean, I imagine
busiest
one of the busiest is launch.
Well, no, because launch was actually relatively quiet. Only because
maybe
it was
for you.
No, only because it was the lull before the. Only because it was the lull before the storm. So, a lot of all these servers that actually run the game aren't really here. They're off at a data center somewhere. So it takes us a long while to prepare the data center. And one of the it's kind of like having kids. Yeah, you set them up, you set them off on the road, you cross your fingers that everything's going to be good, and then you just have to sit back and watch.
Yeah.
And yes, launch night was a very long night, because we were sitting there all in what we call the war room,
I remember
watching
all the whiskey.
the graphs,
We don't do that.
pizza, and watching the graphs and just watching things happen, checking that the servers were responding. So that was a long day. But busy. There are some times when we'll find things happening on the servers where no one instantly knows what's going on. So there's a mad collaborative effort of pulling people together from all over the company to try and look at what's going on. So those can be very, very busy days. Also, if there's anytime when we finish an update, so for instance, once update 6 is, we know it's all solid, bugs have been ready, it's ready to go live, we'll then start a big new planning round, and those tend to be super busy periods. I can't think of one particular one. Some of the preparation work for update 6 was, heavy duty, which
Very long days, yeah.
hopefully the players will appreciate when it goes to PDS, and you'll go to PTS and try it on PTS in the not too distant future.
It's going to be loads of fun. I feel like the theme of the show. Try it on PTS.
So this is a question from Gino Boehm. They would like to know what tools you use to do your job.
A number 9 screwdriver is incredibly useful. Most of the game side of things is all written in C++. And depending on whether we're working on the client, we use pretty standard Microsoft Visual Studio for doing things like that. Most of the server side things all is in Unix. And for instance, I'm one of those people that still uses VI. So it's just as fast as doing things the other way. We also have an awful lot of tools that we write in-house, and that's another aspect of the whole programming side. In addition to people working on the QA side, doing the automated test tools, we've also got all the tools that the designers use to actually design the rules that make even abilities happen, to lay out the world. A lot of those tools we write in-house. So we might use off-the-shelf tools for some of the detailed modeling and animation, but then we'll pull those together and work with them.
I've heard some of the designers say they really, really like the tools we have.
We've tried to make a lot of it as live and reactive so that they can instantly get feedback on how something works or doesn't work. Not that anything ever doesn't work. So yeah, it's trying to think of other ones really. The other big thing for any of the programmers watching, we revision control like everyone else. So we use one of the big main tools there, Perforce, for most of our revision control stuff. But really, that's about it. I mean, that's ultimately most of the time we're crunching code. Other than a text editor and a compiler, you don't tend to need much to get going. If you're working on the servers, you debug with GDB. If you're working on the clients, you debug using the Microsoft toolset. So, that's it.
That was a very detailed answer. Thank you.
Sorry.
No,
Yes,
don't
get me start talking about programming.
I actually saw just kind of a passing thing in chat. Somebody asking, "Is this the guy in charge of lag?"
Aww.
Yeah, most of the bugs are mine. Yeah. Lag. We love when players talk about lag because there are a million different causes of it, and there's a lot of things that players will think is lag and will think is because of something on the server when it's something on their machine. It's they shouldn't really be watching 3 streaming TV shows and trying to record everything at the same time. Everyone pretty much on the engineering side's job is lag. It's part of what we're constantly fighting against, especially in places like Cyrodiil. We've done a lot of work in Update 6 to look at some of the things that cause what players perceive to be lag. And whilst I know they think, maybe they're not really concentrating on this, pretty much every day we'll have an engineer probably in Cyrodiil live, watching battles going on, checking how the performance is going, looking for bottlenecks, and then feeding that back into the art team so that they can fine-tune effects and things like that to make it better. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm responsible for lag. I'll quite willingly admit it.
But you're working on it.
Yes.
Well, I think that just about wraps it up, unless you have any parting words for everyone.
No, just to reiterate, people that might want to work on games or an MMO, I have not had as much fun working on a game in all the time I've worked with the games industry.
Aww.
It's really good fun.
We need a group hug.
Yeah. So, yeah, consider it.
Awesome.
Yep, it's a great studio to work for.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me down.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you so much for taking the time and hanging out with us.
Cool.
I learned things.
Learning is fun.
Note the time. The community rarely tell us that. That's one of their tips.
Well, next I think we will do our last giveaway for the show.
Okay.
We're going to do some pig codes.
Pigs.
Very exciting.
Little bristle gut pigs. Who would like one?
I do. So if you want to win one of 3 bristle gut piglets, you can type in oink into chat. Oink.
That's
like
O-I-N-K, not O-Y-N-Q, please.
Wow. Something, I guess, I see everyone typing in pig. No, it's oink, you guys, oink. There we go. Something, in case you guys haven't seen it yet on the forums, we posted sort of a, I don't want to say feedback to the champion system, but it's sort of our new conversion. So when we go from, when we release, I'm sorry, I'm trying to like read and talk and think and my brain.
When we go from experience points to champion points.
Yeah, if you've been playing and you have veteran characters, we've kind of adjusted the amount of points you're going to get and how you're going to get them. So we encourage you to hop on the forums. It's stickied at the top of recent discussions and also in developer discussions. Yep. Very easy to find. So take a look. Kind of addresses the whole 30 champion point thing into now a 70 champion point thing. So
we hope that is a good compromise. And I know we've said this a lot, but please try it out on PTS once it's live and let us know what you think.
Indeed. So lots of oinks going on.
All right, who's our winner?
Well, we have 3 winners.
Oh, that's right.
So the first winner is going to be
Just Incredible.
With a 5.
Nice.
Second one is I'm Brandolph.
That is an amazing name.
Nice.
2 winner names. Come on, third.
And last is Quendix.
Well, congratulations, you guys. As with last time, Jason will be in touch with you on Twitch. Provide, well, I guess you don't have to provide anything. We'll just email it straight to you. Yep, no shipping required. So lastly is what everyone's been waiting for. Very exciting, some animation revamp. The entire time.
All right, so we are going to get started with our animation revamp discussion. We have lead animator Ed Lynch with us today, and he's going to walk us through some of the animation updates that are coming in Update 6, which you'll be able to try out on the PTS. So we will be doing a Q&A after this, so please get your questions ready for Ed. Please have them be about animations, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can at the end. So Ed, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us, before we dig into the Update 6 revamp, tell us what you do at ZOS, what an animator does at ZOS.
Sure. I'm in charge of overseeing the production of the character animation. So that includes PCs, NPCs, monsters, pets, mounts, critters, all the things that live and skitter around the world. And just to give a little bit of background so people understand exactly what that is, you'll have one team that comes up with the monster, then the concept team will take that and design what the monster should look like, and then the modeling team will take that and build it into a 3D model. The tech art team will take that and give it a skeleton and basically an exoskeleton rig that we can move around, and that's when we jump in. We give them their performances, and
Oh, there's Dave.
then I don't care what happens after that. Yeah, there's so yeah, well, that's exactly what we do. We'll do some video reference. There's a hag walking.
That's awesome. So you do every animation in the game. You do some sort of real kind of
Yeah, we'll
video of it.
I mean, there's such a variety of different creatures and characters. You know, if it's a humanoid type thing, we'll try to act it out. There's young Gina.
That was at least 7 years ago.
2007,
Yep.
something
Doing
like that.
a backwards walk.
I mean, this is the true reason why we have to redo some of the animations, right?
This is the reason all of our animations are so metal.
So yeah, we'll
Wow.
take video
I wanna
reference
know
like
why you
this.
did
That's how I usually run around with a bat.
Now that's very cool to know that that's kind of where the animations start.
Yeah, so you know, we'll look at that video, or you know, if it's a monster, we'll look at video reference on the web, or we have a pretty extensive collection of reference
Yeah.
videos and DVDs and online things. Now there's some things like a watcher that there's no real world analog to, and we just that's when we get to like really use our imaginations and we'll actually try to act out things. There's one we have of someone acting out a watcher animation, just so we can get an idea of how the weight of the tentacles work and things like that. But
natural movement.
But it's amazing. You get to work on everything from humans to dogs to cats to watchers and winged creatures and things that can't exist in the world. And it's great.
Nice.
But everything's handcrafted. Every animation is done by hand. Every loincloth, every pauldron tacet that you see, someone made move, and it's really a labor of love.
Yeah, wow.
I think we just passed over 10,000 individual animations in the game. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How long does it take to animate something like a critter?
Critters don't do a whole lot, so they'll stand
I'm going
around
with
or
something
walk
small,
and run.
like a
but
frog.
less than a week. A few days really for a critter.
Yeah.
You could have a monster or a major character in a game that could take a month or more.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So,
But it's fun.
let's dive into some of the changes that everyone's going to see in Update 6 and sort of what we're doing to address some of the animations.
Yeah, so Update 6. So a few months ago, we spun up a team we called it Combat Responsiveness. And it was basically, it's artists, animators, effects artists, there's sound designers, there's gameplay designers, user interface people, QA. It's basically a good cross-section of, did I say programmers? It's a good cross-section of all the different disciplines that get together, and we look at player feedback. We pore over the player feedback, whether it's from the in-game feedback or whether it's from the forums, anywhere we can get it. And we see what are the big issues, what are the things that people what are the things that people want, and we kind of, like Ian was saying, that we will triage them and prioritize them, and basically hit them. And we found there was a lot of things, in combat, which you do a lot in the game, that wasn't really hitting the mark. So people would see, people would say things like, I pressed this ability and nothing happened, and I don't know why. It could be
Or
a
it
million
feels
different
floaty,
reasons.
or
Yeah, well, you get into the aesthetics of it, but even just the responsiveness, when you play a game, you want to press a button and it
You
should
expect
do
something to
what
happen.
it expects
Yeah,
you to do.
right.
Yes. So there were times when that didn't happen, and other issues like that. So we took all that feedback and we looked at it from you know, I'm looking at it from the animation standpoint, and we basically we wanted to make things happen quicker. So there's a lot of animations that, you know, had a little longer wind-ups, and they'd get cut off by other animations. And so we made them very quick, very responsive. We wanted to really get in a visual tell. It's not a kind of game that has a lot of numbers flying up on screen telling you things, and doesn't have a lot of UI elements. So we have to tell you a lot of things through the visuals. And we really wanted to make sure that, you know, people knew when they could do an attack, when they couldn't, or if they tried to do an attack and it didn't happen, it was obvious that they were out of stamina, or, you know, something was obvious, or they took a potion and we don't want them looking down to see if their potion is cooling down. You know, we want to keep their eyes on the screen.
The visuals are the tells.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a lot of numbers going on under the hood that, you know, it's our job to communicate to people in ways that are interesting and fun. So yeah, we took that also as an opportunity to go through and make the animations better, make them a little more realistic. We went through first we started with all the combat stances, what we call combat idols, of all the different weapons. Stood them up a little straighter, a little more heroic looking, looks better through the first person camera. Went through every single class ability, and, you know, played it in succession with other abilities, and making sure that, you know, you're getting some feedback when you hit that. You know, if not the animation, there's an effect, there's a sound, there's something to tell you that that's happening. And it feels just really solid. You know, when you press a button and it does what you want it to do at all times, that's just what it should feel like.
Yeah.
And
I think earlier we were watching a video of the new, it looked like a shield and sword. Was that a clip of the new animation?
Yes, some of that was most of that was new stuff. So yeah, the sword and shield. There's also a lot less sharing between types of weapons. Sword and shield now has slightly different animations in some cases, not across the board.
Right.
You know, different walks and different runs than, you know, without a shield, and you know, holding a one-handed weapon without a shield. We spent a lot of time working on the. Let's see here in this video, you can see. You know, a lot of light, heavy attacks, shield bashes, nothing.
Okay, and there's the two-handed. Yeah, definitely different.
Yeah, so you know, in addition to all the natural stances and trying to get the abilities to play quicker, there were little tweaks to there wasn't any kind of major overhaul to the gameplay, but there were little tweaks to each individual ability, particularly the light and heavies, making them a little faster, making especially dual wield, making that really feel like you're swinging two weapons around. There's some heft to it. They're a little faster than a two-handed weapon, which is a little slower, a little more weighty. You know, and we also wanted to make sure that when you hit someone or whether you miss something, it's completely obvious. You know, your weapon has a little stick in it when you hit someone, or if you whiff, it's really obvious. Especially when you're playing, you're looking at everything, not necessarily your character, but it's very, very obvious when you hit or miss, even when you're not just looking at your character.
Right.
It's
Sure.
the feedback, you know, through sound, through animation, through effects is all coming to you. You know, you're getting all that feedback that you want as a player, which is something that, you know, people weren't finding it before. So, you know, in addition to that, we also made sure that we touched on the combat runs, walks. We did a complete overhaul of that system. Whereas before, you kind of get into these awkward blends between runs and walks.
Yeah,
Some
we've
slides.
seen some fun videos of those.
Yep.
So we made a lot of changes to you know, not only the actual animations themselves, but making sure that they're, you know, we added more animations. So, you know, in addition to walk and run, now there's a jog in between them, and you don't see the weird blends in between them. Your character is always grounded to the world. Your feet are always rooted. You know, your turns are particularly NPCs, which also benefit from all these changes. You know, they'll turn nicely in the world. just feels more grounded, feels more rooted, feels more weighty, you know, has more of a real world. It's more convincing. But not any, we didn't go through and I guess speed nerf anything. We didn't go through and you know, change the gameplay to make the art better. We made the art fit better in with the gameplay that exists, and it really just feels good when you get your hands on it. And I can't wait till people do.
Awesome. Little feedback. So earlier you were talking about sword and board and two-hand, but what about staffs? Have they kind of been touched on also?
Yes, we did a lot of work with the staffs. There was quite a bit of animation sharing between all the different staff types. You have your you know, your fire and ice staff, you have your restoration staff, and you have your lightning staff. So, and they all shared the same combat idol, so if you're going into battle, you see someone standing there, you don't know what kind of weapon they have, which, you know, you don't really know how to react to necessarily. But now you can see, you'll see the lightning staff has one kind of stance, the healing has another, and the fire and ice has a completely different. And that shows through, you know, we went through and did the, they still share a lot of the movements, but, you know, the transitions from movement back to that idol are all different and unique for each of those guys.
That's cool.
How their lights and heavies are very different now. We wanted to make sure we had a lot of weight and resistance to the magic. You know, that it didn't feel like you're shooting a Roman candle out of a stick. You know, there's really, when you're firing off a lightning attack, a heavy lightning attack, you're pushing up against the force of the lightning. It really makes it feel weighty and real. So you can see some of these. Here's the resto staff. You can see when they do the heavy attack, it you know, pulls the healing into your character. It's very different than the lightning, and it really just makes the battlefield just feel a lot more. Just a lot of more things going on and seeing the same things all the time.
Awesome. So have you been, we know the justice system is coming in update 6. Has there been any new animation work that's gone into that?
Yes, there has. And actually a lot of the things that we did for navigation for the player, like I was saying, we also see that in the NPCs, but we also see that in the NPCs throughout the world. So if you go into a city and you see people you know, doing their jobs or whatever and walking around the world, well, now they still have, you know, places to go and things to do, but how they get to them is now, we don't really know how they're going to do it. It's really up to them. It's through their AI.
So
they know where they can walk and they know when they have to be somewhere, and they try to get there when they can, and they'll take paths that we didn't expect. They'll go home and then go back to work.
Where's Bob the baker?
Yeah, sometimes if they feel that they have to be somewhere in a hurry, they'll run or jog there, you know, instead of just walking lazily. You know, if two NPCs pass each other, they might navigate around each other and maybe a little greet.
I didn't know that.
If you go through a narrow corridor, one will stop and greet the other as they let the other one pass, and it's really makes the world feel really alive when you see all these people doing things that, you know, in some cases we don't expect. It's a surprise to us. You know, we know what you're supposed to do, but how you get between those things, we don't know. Now, in addition to that, now, specifically with the justice system, now you can go in and steal people's stuff. You can pickpocket people. You can murder innocents. But you would expect the people that witness this to react, and we made sure that we have a variety of different reactions to those things. So a minor crime, depending on the person that views it, they might, you know, just kind of give you a little look or something like that. If, you know, you're pickpocketing someone, you know, some people might be like calling a guard, or you know, they might fight you themselves, depending on how aggressive that person is. You know, if you murder someone, you'll get some NPCs might freak out and run away. Some might call a guard. Some might come and attack you themselves.
Or cower.
All kinds of different reactions. So depending on what you do, what that NPC's personality is, how aggressive they are, what their job is. A guard will obviously act differently than a vendor. They'll react to the things that you do in the world. and that even persists. So, you know, some people, you do a minor crime or something, some people might just choose not to talk to you, and that would include vendors too. Some vendors might refuse to do business with you because they know you're a criminal.
Because you're a jerk.
Yeah. So it's really fun. It really makes the towns feel really alive and really fun.
That's cool.
It's exciting.
So we've actually had some questions come up on the forums about if you're making new animations for Justice.
Yes.
What's the chance we might see some of those come on over as emotes for players?
That's definitely something we can do. We keep an eye, like I said, we keep an eye on the forums literally daily, weekends as well.
Yep.
To see what people want, what people are, you know, what they want to do with their characters. I love role players.
You are kind of the emote master, right?
Yeah.
I love emotes. There's so many things I want to do with them to expand them. I really can't get into them right now, but
Yeah.
As far as the Justice System animations, people just let us know what you want to see, and we will make sure that you get your emote.
Awesome.
Well, you want to start answering some questions? You're a pretty
Sure.
popular guy. There are a lot of questions here. I think for starters, there were a few on the forums. We did promise we would look. If you couldn't make the stream, you could post some questions. So we pulled a couple of those. I'm just going to try and skip over the name here. Basically asking that we know character animations are getting an overhaul, but what about horse animations being improved?
And dog running animations too.
Sure.
So actually, the dog running animation, I still want to get back to. I just haven't had a chance to.
Oh.
But as far as just any characters running, especially your horse, your mounts, they take advantage of all the new tech that we made for the player navigation. So you don't get into the weird walk-run blends like you could before. So there's a lot more we can do with that, but it's certainly going to be improved even on the PTS when that goes live.
Right. This one was one of my personal favorites. What's with the weird diaper run? It looks like they're sticking their butts out extra far and their feet are sliding around along the ground.
Yes, that popped up an update or so ago.
I think right after update 5.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was update 5.
So we're not sure exactly what caused it, but what was happening was the way we had the old movement system is you would blend your walks and your run animations to get those mid-speed animations. So you're never really seeing 100% of what was altered. And you add on top of that, you have your upper body doing whatever combat animation, lower body doing whatever. You could potentially get into some weird blends. And we ran into an issue where the walks and runs, depending on what you did, you'd exit a harvesting node or getting off your horse, whatever. Just a few different instances where those walks and runs that blend would get out of phase. So the walk would think it's like this and the run would think it's like that. And when you blend them together, the character doesn't know what to do.
And hilarity ensues.
I
Yes.
so badly want you to do it.
I could do it with my fingers. So the new system, we don't do those kind of blends anymore. We stay purely in walk, purely in jog, purely in run. So that will be fixed and is fixed here. It'll be fixed on update 6 for sure.
So another funny one that we see, somebody called Grog from Twitch chat brought this one up, is sometimes we'll see people sliding around on the ground while like laying down, and
I love that
Dead
one.
or where the dead bodies coast around.
oh my gosh, we end up giggling like fools every time we see it. But what causes that?
I don't know. No, the truth is that there are some times when the animation system it's not, especially with something like a death. A death is very different than a lot of other things because it's this whole other state that your character is in.
Yeah.
And there are times when it just didn't get the update or the full update that you're back alive. It lets you do everything else, but the animation system hasn't been told that you're alive yet. And it's something I haven't seen on update 6.
Okay.
I can't
often.
promise. Yeah, I see it in the world and I cringe, but it's, finding a specific cause for it has been troublesome, but I haven't seen it on 6, and if people run into it, send us feedback, let us know exactly what you're doing when it happened. All that is extremely, extremely helpful to us.
My other most favorite bug that makes me giggle every time is the crazy eyes, where their eyes are like popping out of their head.
There's a thread on our forums about that right now. It's amazing.
It cracks me up. Some of the pictures that are on there.
So yeah, we thought that was related to the face effects
Yeah.
that we added, and it turns out it's not. We believe it's related to the way you can deform your characters in Character Create. And we use a similar system for NPCs as well. So I think they're this close to a solution. They've narrowed down at least 10,000 things that it's not. So we're that much closer. So yeah, that's definitely a big thing that's being worked on as we speak.
What about the neck snapping? When I decide I want to talk about it.
Yeah, so that's another one. That is when you go into a conversation camera and it doesn't calculate the head look correctly. So those we hit individually if people run into them, or I see them up on the forums.
I don't see those very often anymore.
I don't either, but when I do, somebody posts a screenshot,
Yeah, when we get them or we
laughing.
see a screenshot, I'll send something to QA. I'll be like, where's this happening? We'll
Yeah.
go in there, and it's an easy fix once we know where it is.
Sure.
So if people run into
cool.
it, just let us know.
let's see. Will there be animations for pickpocketing? Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed. So yeah,
So-
you first and third person, you can come up behind NPCs and pickpocket them. We also, while we were doing all these other animation revamps, we went through and redid all the crouch stealth, walk and run, and everything for that too. So
I think we showed some of that off, not the last show, but 2 shows ago with Scott Nixon.
yeah, we saw
Yeah.
some of that.
There were some videos showing.
There were some
the new
NPC
pickpocketing.
reactions in that one as
Oh,
well
yeah.
too for the justice system, where he was killing chickens, I think.
Oh, there's it. Well, that's in first person.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Well,
So
there's at least the arm. You can see it.
it's a successful pickpocket where
Yep.
you get the bag. It's pretty clear when you're pickpocketing
Yeah.
is successful and when it's not.
So we've got a question here from Jonathan Landcastle. Apart from facial animation, are there any thoughts of body expressions as well?
Body
Like
expression.
body language to go along with your facial expression.
Yeah, actually, there's a lot of things we're looking at right now to show mood and emotion, both on your player and NPCs. In addition to expanding things with face effects to get more of the face to emote. We're doing a lot of things with your postures as well.
Okay.
So when you're really sad or really happy or really
Might be kind of
celebratory,
hunched over.
yeah,
or-
it's all very different, and people can read that from a distance and empathize with you.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a few questions about animation canceling, asking if it brings tears to the eyes of passionate animation developers. And I think even on the forums, they're just asking, how does it make you feel?
Every
When people are
time your
skipping my
animation
animations?
cancel, an animator cries.
Well, no. We want to make sure that the players can do what they want to do. We want to make sure, it's like, this isn't the kind of game that has cut scenes, but if it had cut scenes, I would be okay with them being skippable.
Right,
They
right.
should be. Players should be able to play the way they want. They shouldn't, they shouldn't have to do what we want them to do.
Be constrained.
Yeah. But as far as the animation cancel, we did a lot of work with the animations to, like I said, get to the meat of the animation, the hit, the fire, whatever it is, quicker, so you can see more of that. But the combat responsiveness team I was talking about earlier, that team is not disbanded. That team still meets continually to go over things with players. And while we didn't make any massive changes to the combat system this time, we are continually looking at feedback and and trying to make sure that people not only can do everything that they want to do, but react to everything that other players are doing. It's very important. You know, combat responsiveness is a two-way street.
Okay. So we've got one here from Abercrombie. I think it's
Abercrom-
supposed to be kind of like Abercrombie, but
yeah.
not. Are you making animations for players using potions? Would be nice to see when players are actually using a potion in PvP.
In PvP, if they're, we now have particle effects. So you're not going to sheath your weapon, take out your potion, drink
Right,
it. You know, we want to make sure that you can
nobody
still
got time for
play.
that.
You know, people are popping off potions. People are popping off potions continually while they're fighting. You know, mid-attack half the time.
Right.
So we want to make it clear to you that it was a successful use of your button press, and also that other players can see that you took a potion, and that's why they're not necessarily mitigating all the attacks that you're throwing at them. They're hitting potions, and it's obvious that they are. So yeah, we made sure that there was definitely feedback for when
So
you're
it's more
taking
particle effect based as opposed to animation based?
Yes.
Okay.
Particle and sound. So and it looks different for each of the three kinds of potions.
Okay.
Nazir, he was actually our litho winner
Yeah.
earlier. He was asking if we have plans to revamp the sprinting animation.
We went through and revamped all of them. We
Nice.
went through all the male and female walks, runs, and sprints, added an additional jog. So yeah, we went through and hit all of them. And like I said, the crouching, stealth animations are all different. Pretty much any way that you move has gotten another pass at. And another good thing about the kind of more upright stance of everything is when you're in first person, you don't feel quite so low to the ground, skimming the ground sometimes. Your camera's a little more elevated because your character's a little more elevated, so that feels a lot better too.
Okay. Let's see.
What about new death animations?
Oh, yeah.
Death animation. So
Not sure if it's for players or for other monsters.
yeah, well, I mean, the players have a number of different deaths depending on which direction they take that killing blow from. If you hit from behind, you fall forward. If you're hit from the forward, you fall behind, and left and right, same thing. You have a different animation for if your death was by poison. You have a different animation for if your death was by ice. But yeah, we can certainly add quite a few more. If people think it's not varied enough, we'd love to add more. We certainly added a lot more to certain monsters. When you see a battlefield littered with bodies, you really don't want these rubber stamp same poses everywhere. And I think it's been pretty successful so far. But if people like to see more, we would love to create more.
All right, we've got one here from Dissential. Are we going to have more support for first-person emote animations? Currently, most emotes are not visible in first person.
Yes. Now we've definitely done some work for that for update 6.
Okay.
There was also a few emotes that pulled you out of first person and just showed you the third person and then shoved you back in.
Okay.
So we have done a little bit more on that. I don't think any of them pull you out of first person at all anymore. Some of them are just some camera movements, but there's definitely, if people really like doing that, let us know which ones they want, and we will make sure that we do them.
Okay, awesome.
Well,
Are there any more? Just checking the list here.
yeah, that's what I'm looking for. I think that just about wraps it up. Anything else you wanted to touch on before you head out?
No, other than just echo what Ian was saying about it's just an amazing place to be, and it's just as an artist, it's just you get to do things that you can't imagine doing in any other medium or any other place in so many ways. The creatures you get to do are just amazing. The people we work with is just the most agile, fast-working team I've ever seen. Animation's a pretty slow boat to turn sometimes, so we're always trying to keep up with what our programmers and designers are coming up with, and it's just it's a challenge, but it's a joy.
It's a lot of cross teamwork.
Yes, yes. And that's the best part is the collaborations. There's so many great minds here.
I know anytime you guys go in to create a new zone, like Orsinium, which we're working on, there's a lot of animation work, right?
Yes, yes. So we go in there and, you know, first the writers will lay out this overall arching story and, you know, and kind of see how different, you know, clans or factions within that story, you know, interact with each other. Gives us great ideas for what to do, and we come up with new monsters and new mounts and new critters and new pets and just ways to make that world come alive. And we'll sit there with them and they'll be working on stories, and we will, you know, figure out the best way to communicate those stories visually to people in ways that make sense. You know, one thing I love about this game is it's just like a really good book sometimes that you can't put down, and you just want to see what's around the next corner or what the next thing is. You know, just let me get to that next level, and then the next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning. But getting to tell those stories, we're doing a lot more of that collaboration now, and really putting together these cinematic theatrical moments to stick with people and just amaze them. So I can't wait till people see all the new stuff with Orsinium and Imperial City and all the amazing stuff we have coming out very soon.
Awesome.
Well,
I think that wraps it up.
I think so. Well, thank you, Ed.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you
you so much
coming
for joining
down.
us.
Can't wait to have everyone try it out and provide feedback. I know Ed definitely, you know, checks the forums, and we pass along all the feedback to his
We will be on the
team,
forums
so.
watching live streams.
Yep, for sure.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
All right,
anytime.
thank you.
Well, that just about wraps up today's show. Oh, we're over here now. Wraps up today's show.
Thank you so much for watching.
Yeah, indeed. We will be back on January 30th.
Yep.
4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, as usual. It's a good show.
Yes, we hope you enjoyed it. And we will have this up on Twitch and YouTube, as we usually do. And we will also have the Ask Us Anything questions up on the forum shortly after the show. Otherwise, have a good weekend.
Yep.
And we'll see you in Tamriel, and see you next time.